With Hannah Rogers, one of the trailblazers for girls wrestling.
I was the only female at Wilton at the time wrestling, my sophomore year. The only girl.
Hannah Rogers, the Wilton Beaver, decides to pull anchor and move to Bettendorf, or not necessarily move to Bettendorf, but go to Bettendorf High School for her senior year to pursue wrestling.
Yes. I not only moved high schools as a junior in high school, but I moved in the middle of the year. If you won a state championship, I would be happy for you and congratulate you. I would never be like, oh, I would win a state championship if I was a boy too. Like, what is it? That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you say something like that? And
Hannah wakes up every day happy?
Yeah, I do.
You're a happy soul.
I am, yeah. Oh my, where did you get them?
Since I knew some farm girl was coming in, yeah, check out these things. I figured I'd wear them.
Oh my gosh.
Wear them for the show here.
Are they? Oh, they are okay. They're rubber bottoms.
Yeah, these I think for more show than go. But
wow.
I figured I'm gonna wear these for the. I forgot I had them out in the car. I got these for Christmas.
Wow, I like them.
You need a pair of these, dude.
Oh, I have a couple. I have a couple pairs of cowgirl boots. Heck yeah.
You should have wore them.
Should have.
Can you get those on camera, Parker?
Oh, they're on camera. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2024.
2024.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another very special edition of the Real Quad Cities, a long overdue conversation I've got going on today with Hannah Rogers, one of the trailblazers for girls wrestling for the state of Iowa.
Yes, yes.
And you were born and raised right here in Wilton, Iowa.
Yes, born and raised.
I have been looking forward to this conversation since I first sat down a little bit over a year ago with your brother, Gatlin.
Yes, yep.
And of course, you came up in conversation quite a bit.
Yes.
And then I posted some clips of our conversation, and they did extremely well.
People ate that up. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
The number one clip we had was a clip of, he was talking about you and you guys being brother and sister.
Yeah.
And I clipped in some stuff. Who wins in a wrestling match?
And he was right. It is him. He will win. He always won most of the time. There would be times where I'd get a takedown, but after I got the takedown, it was over for me at that point. Yeah. He would get angry enough. It would just be over for me.
I'm hoping I can set the table for everybody because I reached out to you and I said I'd love to have you on the show. Mm-hmm. And as fun as it would be to talk about, you know, all of your wrestling achievements and everything, I was like, there's a big part of your wrestling career that I don't think you've ever really talked about publicly, or at least on any kind of podcast, if you want to call it this.
Yeah, no. I've been on a couple other podcasts where I've talked publicly about my wrestling, and I've never talked about
the big move.
my junior year in general.
Let me set the table here. Right around, was it 7th or 8th grade you got into wrestling?
7th grade.
7th grade, which was what year?
That would have been 2018.
2018, you get introduced to wrestling.
Yes.
And at the time, you're playing some other sports.
Yep.
Basketball, softball,
yep.
all the other girl sports that you're doing, basically.
Yeah.
And then you get bit by the wrestling bug, and you start really focusing in on wrestling.
Yep.
You win a state title for Wilton. Your sophomore year.
Yes.
Your junior year, you wrestle for Wilton again, because that's where you're going to high school.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, Hannah Rogers, the Wilton Beaver, decides to pull anchor and move to Bettendorf, or not necessarily move to Bettendorf, but go to Bettendorf High School for her senior year to pursue wrestling.
Yeah, so actually, exactly what happened and how the timeline worked was there's a rule, the 90-day rule. You have to be attending that school for 90 days before you can compete in a varsity sport to protect people from up and moving and going wherever they want to go.
Okay.
So I transferred at Bettendorf, they work on a quarterly schedule. So I moved right before the fourth quarter. So it was essentially right after spring break is when I started going to school there.
Junior year.
Yeah, so yes, my junior year of high school. So that I got in a full quarter, and then on top of that, a full first quarter into my senior year. So I had there was no way that I wasn't going to reach 90 days so that I still could compete as a varsity athlete. So I not only moved high schools as a junior in high school, but I moved in the middle of the year and started my senior year with only a quarter of school under my belt at that point at this brand new school, 40 minutes from my house.
Yeah, and it's not like you went from big school to big school,
No.
so you kind of knew what it was going to be like. You go from Wilton, Iowa,
No, yeah.
graduating class of maybe 60, 70 kids,
my
somewhere in
class
there.
had 63 kids.
63 kids, and
Yeah.
then you all of a sudden
I had 360 kids.
360 in your class at
Yeah.
Bettendorf.
Yeah, yep.
And all the while, as tough as that's going to be, as tough as I'm sure that was, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about it, the small town of Wilton does this collective, well, I guess we're not good enough anymore to support Hannah and her wrestling. But there's, as with everything, there's all kinds of sides to different stories.
Yeah.
And I've always been interested in what that was like to, just as a regular kid, to just go to a new school, but now to have the pressures of wrestling on you. You've already achieved some success
Yeah.
at the Wilton program.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to set the record straight, and I want to tell the story, and I want to hear it from you. I don't want to tell the story. I
Yeah.
just want to ask questions.
Yeah.
So take me back to your sophomore year at Wilton, right?
Yeah.
You're really getting into the thick of it. Now, keep in mind, your sophomore year is what year?
It would have been, wrestling would have been during 2021 and 2022.
Okay, and during that time, girls wrestling, believe it or not, is still fairly fresh, even though that was just only a few years ago.
It's not sanctioned. At that state tournament is when they announced the sanctioning for the next season. So at this point, like, we're still under the Iowa Wrestling Coaches and Officials Association state tournament. It has nothing to do with the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. They have not claimed it. At that point, they were like announcing that they were going to be claiming it and they were going to be sanctioning it, but we were not under their jurisdiction. So it was like a separate thing. Like, it was different from anything else that was going on, like any other girls' state that you would see.
But it still was a state wrestling tournament.
Oh,
it's still like
100%.
it's all the best wrestlers in the state together.
So yeah, how it worked before the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union picked it up was basically anyone could wrestle. Like my sophomore year, anyone was allowed to wrestle. And all the schools had teams or girls that were wrestling, not necessarily teams. It's kind of a hard way to put it.
Sure.
I was the only female at Wilton at the time wrestling, my sophomore year, the only girl. And so you'd go to the state tournament and they would seed you based on record, and there's seeding criteria. So at 120 pounds, there was 64 girls, 64 girl bracket. Then there was also a silver bracket with, I want to say it was 24 girls. That's a lot of girls at one weight class to be wrestling against each other. The state brackets now are 16-man brackets. And I wrestled in a bracket with 64 girls.
Okay, so that is misconception number one.
Yeah.
Misconception number one is, well, it really wasn't that popular. There wasn't really that many girls to compete against. Maybe it wasn't that hard to win a state title, where in reality, you had 4 or 5 times the amount of girls in your bracket, right?
It was 5 matches or 6 matches. 6 matches that it took me to win my state title as a 3 seed. I was a 3rd seed. I was not the number 1 seed. I was not the number 2 seed. I was the number 3 seed.
So that meant you had to wrestle more matches?
Yeah. Actually, I was the 4th seed because I wrestled the number 1 seed in the semis. So I was the number 4 seed. And going into the tournament, I didn't wrestle any more matches necessarily than anyone else. I won the most matches, obviously. But yeah, so I was number 4 seed, and I'm wrestling, I'm doing good, everything's going great, and I get to the semifinals, and I have the number 1 seed, who I had previously lost to twice. Maybe it was just once. I had previously lost to her for sure, because I remember, because I almost beat her. Almost. And everyone was like, oh my God, holy crap. Like,
What's that girl's name?
wow. Her name is Mariah Webster, and she's from Colfax, Mingo. And she's a great, I love her. She's great. She wrestled at William Penn for a little bit. And I officiated out there last year, actually, and she coaches for Colfax, Mingo, and her little sister wrestles. And they're a huge wrestling family. Huge wrestling family.
But at the time, she's the big bad wolf.
She was the girl to beat at the time. So I beat her in the semis, and there's iconic photos, and they're posted all over. My dad's screensaver still is the picture from my semifinals where I'm bawling, like bawling, hugging Ben Burkle, and
who was a coach?
Who was my
coach?
My coach, 100% my coach. And yeah, from then, and then after I beat her, it was like, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win the whole thing, and the number 2 seed also got beat. I can't even remember who that was, because the number 3 seed was Maddie Black. And Maddie Black comes from a very big wrestling family. Brothers Tucker Black, sisters Megan Black. Megan Black was one of the first women to ever podium at Boys State, or compete at Boys State, period. And Megan wrestles for the U.S. Army WCAP, or did. I don't think she does anymore. But yeah, so basically the pep talk for my match was, you got it now. Like, you've done it. Like, you're good. You got this. And so, yeah, obviously we studied film, whatever. It is what it was, but it was go out and do exactly what you do every single time, and there's going to be no problem. So that's exactly what I did. I did a full Nelson in my state finals match, if that tells you anything about just me as a wrestler. Like, yeah. So I got too excited, I think.
So you end up winning.
Yeah.
Your sophomore year, you end up winning the state title for Wilton, which is regarded as a wrestling school, right?
I mean, every time I tell somebody that. Yeah. Oh, wrestling community.
Yeah,
yes.
Wrestling community, and that goes all the way. That goes all the way back.
Yeah, all the way back.
And there's no like.
So
you are the first ever girls state wrestling champion for Wilton.
Yeah.
The most recent state championship happened a handful of years prior, right?
3 or 4. It was Trey Brisker. I know it was Trey Brisker. Yeah.
So there's a couple year gap in there.
Yeah.
And then Hannah wins it.
And we hadn't been super good as a dual team in a couple years. We hadn't really been super competitive. And not only my sophomore year, to like kind of backtrack, we had a full lineup. My grade of boys that I like, the class of 2024 in Wilton was a very good wrestling class, along with class of 2025. There was just a group of boys that had been club wrestlers forever that were just super competitive, and they were freshmen, and obviously we were sophomores. In my grade, there was 3 or 4 boys that were very good. Even the grade above me, 3 or 4 boys that were pretty good, so they were juniors. And the senior class that year was also very competitive. So it was like the perfect time. We qualified for state duels the first time in a while. And yeah, it was just, the season itself was very interesting and very good for me. Very good. Like, I was wrestling boys. My partners were kids around between 113 and 132 in the room. And yeah, so
You're the only girl in the wrestling room.
I'm the only girl.
I would imagine that you would have because your state tournament is not where it is typically held, like in Des Moines, right?
It's not at Wells Fargo. So it was at Extreme Arena, which is in Iowa City, and it happens on a Friday night. And yeah, so I think it was like the last weekend in January. It's different than what it is now. They extended the season once the girls' athletic union took it on. But based on officials and how many officials there were and people to run the tournament and staffing and all of that, they did it. Our season was shorter, my sophomore year. And yeah, it happened on a Friday night, and I won a state title. And yeah.
Take me to that night when you won the state title. Was there blue and gold all over in the crowd? Were all the boys around the mat, or was it kind of a lackluster?
The first person I hugged was a girl named Addison Musser from North Cedar. who had just been with me since 7th grade and had been a girl that when we were at the same tournaments together, we would hang out and buddy, and like we were a team, you know. We were from different schools, but we were like friends, you know. And yeah, so I won, and I'm freaking out. Can't believe I did that. Like, just can't believe that.
You're a Wilton Beaver. You just won the state title.
I just did that. Like, you know, I give Ben and Gabe a hug, and everything's good, and I come off, and I give Addison a hug, and then I find Sam immediately, Sam Siebold, give her a hug, and I find my mom, and that was kind of the end of the celebration part. Obviously, I came home to my family. There was none of my team was there. No.
Why do you think that is?
To this
Was
day,
there other stuff going on?
Yeah, that I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, and I'm 20 years old now, and that happened when I was 15 years old. I would have just turned 16, so I'm well over it now. But at the time, I just remember there was 3 kids that said "good job" to me, that wrestled on that team, that genuinely came up to me in person and said, "Good job."
Like after the tournament?
After it was all over.
Like at school?
Like, congratulations, you're, you know, a badass, or whatever it is, like whatever they wanted to say. And it was 3 boys that were on that wrestling team that said, and obviously the managers were kind of my backbone that year because they were girls. And I'll never forget them. I could at least like talk to them, you know, and like be friends with them. And yeah, they were excited and so proud of me too. But yeah, there was 3 boys that had said congratulations at the least, and everybody else, it was just kind of like, it is what it is. It was just kind of brushed under the rug. Weirdly enough, I never really thought anything of it at the time until I was hearing things, and there was boys saying things like, "Oh, I would have won a state championship too if I was a girl." And
sounds like a weird thing to say too.
Yeah, it's just like, what makes you think that that's okay to say to somebody that just did something like that? Like, what, or why would you say that? Like, I would never say, if you won a state championship, I would be happy for you and congratulate you. I would never be like, oh, I would win a state championship if I was a boy too. Like, what is it? That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you say something like that? And then, yeah. And then there was a lot of other animosity involved with the club that I was going to and just everything like that, and my relationship with the coaches, my club coaches.
Because there is in the wrestling world, especially, let's kind of set the table.
Yeah.
In the wrestling world in general, coaches and clubs are very protective of their wrestlers, right?
So, yeah.
And you decided to, not only you were wrestling for Wilton, but hey, I need to get some extra reps type of thing, so you also would go to these other clubs and train.
In today's day and age, clubs and, you know, AAU or whatever you're doing outside of your school season is making you a better player for your school season, because like nowadays you're picking one sport and you're doing it 365 days a year. I did it with wrestling. It's just how it works now. It's kind of what people do. It's hard to find a true athlete that does 2 to 3 sports and is good at both. Like, that's why I think my brother's so cool. I will never say that to his face. He didn't hear that.
We'll edit that part out.
I think he is kind of one of one in a way, where he's really good at football and also works his butt off and can be a good wrestler at the same time. It's kind of hard to find these days, which when you're in a smaller community, you see more of that because you have to be out for more sports. But at a school like Bettendorf, that was another thing that I noticed that was a really big culture shock for me, is that you do one sport and you're really good at that one sport. Like, you don't do softball and wrestling and track and cross country, which is what I would have been doing if I hadn't kind of narrowed it down. But yeah, so in wrestling, you not only is club wrestling very important, but Siebold Women's Wrestling Academy, or Siebold, who I was wrestling for at the time, loyal, and I'm loyal to a fault, like 100%. I'm loyal. I'm a loyal person, and that club is very loyal. So it was like people were talking crap about something that I was so very passionate about, because I I was going to these practices. Me and Sam were driving 3 hours one way to get to a practice on a Sunday. Once a week was all we could make work. Wrestling for 3 hours and driving home and getting home at 10 o'clock at night, and I was going to school on Monday just so that I could be a better wrestler and just so that I was getting a workout in and learning something. And it was like I would wear seatbelt clothes to school and everyone would say, I'm not even going to repeat the things that they would say, but it was just disgusting and not very nice things to say about shit, like a child that was a part of a wrestling club that, in a way, I decided in my head, it was like, you can't be a part of it, so that's why you don't like me. I'm a part of something that you can't be a part of, so now you're upset. And it was just an interesting, I just kind of put walls up at that point, you know? It was just kind of like, if you don't have anything nice to me, if you don't have anything nice to say to me, like, don't talk to me at all. And so, yeah.
And at this point in time, when you win the state championship when you're a sophomore,
yeah,
you've pretty much had to give up the other sports that you like basketball, for example.
Yeah, and I ran cross country that year and ended up going out for track as well. But I was still wrestling. I was literally, I remember running at a track meet on a Thursday night, leaving, having to drive to Des Moines to go wrestle at Freestyle State and wrestling. So like I was running track while trying to maintain my weight, like not necessarily cutting, but like it's not like I could like eat snacks, and the girls were having like Subway sandwiches and I was like, I get to eat a beef stick and a cheese stick for my little pre-run snack, because I just, you had to take care of yourself, and I knew I had to wrestle the next day. So yeah, I was still wrestling and practicing nonstop while running track because wrestling was what was important to me. So at that point, especially like my sophomore year, going into my junior year, I had wrestled all summer and had kind of decided, like, I don't know if I want to do anything else but wrestle. So that's when it all kind of changed for me. And even if we're really talking like when the light switch kind of flipped was after my freshman year, going into my sophomore year.
That's when you realized people were starting to like relationships were getting a little bit more distant at that point, right?
Yeah, I just kind of realized like wrestling's an individual sport and I don't have to count on anybody else. I need one person in a mat. And when you have Sam Siebold is like the same size as me, so she was my practice partner. Or we would drive to Ottumwa and go wrestle with Jazz.
So you get done with your sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
You now come back as a junior.
Yeah.
You're a returning state champion.
Yep.
And at this point now, ta-da, girls wrestling is sanctioned.
Yeah.
So now, correct me if I'm wrong, the school now has a girls like actual program, right?
Yep.
Girls are going out for wrestling.
Yeah.
Hannah Rogers, whether you had anything to do with it or not, Hannah just won a state title. She goes to Wilton. She's coming back this year. And now all of a sudden you got girls going out for wrestling.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a credit to you. Maybe it's not. But it's a little odd that all of a sudden now we got girls going out. But maybe because it's sanctioned, that helps too, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. There was like 12 or 13 girls, I think, that had came out and like were at the meeting and stuff. And don't get me wrong, like I didn't like go around and be like everyone should join wrestling, because to me and still to this day, wrestling is like you said, like wrestling is something that you either gotta be all the way in or you're not gonna cut it. Like
Yes.
You have to be completely and totally like locked in and just focused and just at least at the beginning willing to learn, and you're gonna have to lose. That's something that a lot of people can't understand and that they just really struggle with, and I think that beginners struggle with, is you're gonna have to lose. Like the amount of times I had to lose before I ever started winning was ridiculous, man. Like I was at youth tournaments wrestling boys when there was no girls, getting my butt handed to me like almost every weekend my 7th and 8th grade year. And then finally I'd get a couple Sundays in where I would win a tournament here and there, or I would wrestle in the boys bracket and the girls bracket, and I would win the girls and then get third in the boys, so I would beat one of them. So like that was the victory of the day, like I had to lose a lot. And these girls are coming in high school and trying to learn and navigate this, and I'm just focused on winning and being the best wrestler I can be. Being my quote that year was, being a better wrestler than I was yesterday. That's all I wanted, whether I had a team or not. I didn't care.
Because you have 4 years under your belt, essentially, as a wrestler at this point.
At this point.
Your junior year.
And I'm coming off of a state championship.
And you've done all that by training with, for the most part, but boys exclusively.
Especially during season when it is 7 days a week, it was most of the time boys.
All boys in Hannah. So you're taking your bumps in the workout room, in the wrestling room.
Yeah.
So you show back up, and now there's a little bit different protocol for your junior year, right?
Yeah. So everything's kind of getting worked out, and I'm realizing like that the girls have a separate schedule than the boys' practice schedule. So I asked the question. I'm like, hey. I say to the head varsity girls coach and the head varsity boys coach, hey, we got to like get a schedule together where like, you know, potentially I can be at boys practice 2 to 3 days a week and then 1 or 2 days a week at the girls practice, or I'll do both on certain days. Like, we'll figure it out. And I was told to my face verbatim, you do not get any special treatment. You have no privilege over any of the other girls. The programs are separated now. Yeah. You're a part of the girls' wrestling team. You're not a part of the boys' wrestling team. And I just remember looking at them like, what do you mean? Like, I can't wrestle them every single day. They don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah, because this isn't necessarily in your eyes, a gender thing. It's more a, hey, I'm so happy these girls are out for wrestling.
Oh, I was ecstatic. I just wanted a team.
But you aren't going to get any better, because that's why they say in wrestling you got to partner up with someone that's better than you. That you can.
Absolutely.
And sadly, these girls just, the bottom line is, we're not better than you. They're brand new to wrestling.
Exactly, and it was like day one stuff, which I get. Everybody needs. I was in their shoes not that long before them, so that's the thing that I think people get confused about, is that I was being snotty and petty about it, and that wasn't my intentions at all. My intentions were
you were pissed though. You were pissed.
I can't. My thing was like, why are these other people being put before me when I know what I need, and I knew deep down that they knew what I needed as well. It just didn't matter because they didn't want to deal with it. And
did you feel like nobody came to your defense? I don't want to say nobody. Nobody's a broad thing, but it didn't feel like
in the school, no one gave a shit. And it was just really hard to go to practice every day and, you know that I'm not getting any better. And granted, there were girls that were caught on very fast, as I did as well. And there were girls that did not catch on very fast and quit. And it's part of the sport. Like, genuinely, it is just part of it. Like, you're gonna either catch on or you're not. Like, really, it's hard. It's hard to learn. And I mean, I don't know. I worked it out for a while and was doing fine. And because my parents, not only me, but my parents backed me 100% on a lot of the things that were going on. And my parents had said like, hey, what's the deal with this? Like, is she, this isn't really working. And the only thing that they could give me was, and my parents were, we know she goes to the club, so she can just use that as her extra. And the problem is that I was only going to club 3 times a week. I was only going, like, I think it's Tuesday, Thursdays, and then Sundays. And it was like, I still need that Monday through Friday beat down. Like, I need that, because 7 days a week is what my life was. And 7 days a week I was wrestling. Literally, my sophomore year, 7 days a week. I mean, and on Sundays it normally wasn't pedal to the metal. And that's talking competitions too. You count in your competitions as days. So it was just like, I just knew I wasn't doing enough. I felt like I constantly wasn't doing enough. I wasn't getting in as much as I needed to. I was doing everything I could and more. I was suffering through. So
let me understand this.
You're good.
The school says, hey, we're separating the boys and the girls wrestling. Yeah. Sorry, great, you're a state champ, but too bad. Girls over here, boys over here.
Yeah.
And okay, well then as Hannah, I'm gonna go to these practices with the girls, but I'm gonna go to these club practices too to train with these other females that can actually push me.
Yeah,
And
I had 2 or 3 partners at Seabolt and Sam running a practice that would push me. Yes.
Okay, so you're basically you're getting the reps in however you can get them in, because boys practice is not in the fold anymore. You can't go there. And then the new girls in the wrestling program that have just joined, some of them start to drop off because wrestling sucks and wrestling's hard. Like if it's not something you do for like fun. You go golfing for fun. You don't go wrestling for fun.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, it's because Hannah's showing up to these practices and she's being super intense and she's blowing these girls out of the water when she should be working with them and paying it forward and all this stuff. And you're like, I'm still in the height of my career here. I'm trying to win another state title, right? Am I putting words in your mouth, or am I pretty close to that?
You're exactly correct.
Okay.
So I was like the team captain. I guess I don't want to say clearly, but like I was the only girl that was returning. So like who else would be the team captain? And my team captaincy was revoked based on the fact that 3 girls had quit and supposedly blamed it on me and said that I was too intense and I was not a fun teammate to be around. And when I was told this, I was just like, do they think that I'm here for fun? Like they think that practice is fun. Like they think that this is just all like, you know,
were you more angry or
laughing.
saddened by that? Like what were you feeling
I was so sad. I was so sad because I wanted so badly to like be that person that was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'll help you, and like I want to be there for you. But there were so many things that had happened. Like if I backtrack just a little bit, there was another conversation after the very first competition that had happened where I was told by the assistant coach and the head coach that I was not a good wrestler. I was a good wrestler but not a great wrestler, and that I was completely uncoachable, and that it made it very hard to, you know, coach me. And all my life I'd never been told that. I'd always been told the opposite, that I was extremely coachable, and that it's so fun to coach me because I was coachable and I was willing to, if someone, especially in wrestling, I'm told in the break during freestyle something to work on, I'm gonna go and do it that next period.
Yeah.
Like I was one of those kids, you know? And it was hard to hear because I'm like, what do you mean? Like what was there to coach me on? We went to a tournament and I pinned everyone in the first period. How was I being uncoachable? Like, what do you mean? And it just wasn't, there was never a conversation. There was never like, and this is how you can fix that. This is how you can make it easier for us. And at the same time, I had never, ever been like picked apart like that in wrestling by my school coaches and been like told like, yeah, this and that. And I was just like, what in the world? Like, this is so odd. And then, you know, a couple weeks later, that's when the whole like team captaincy thing happens. And so at this point, I'm already kind of like, I feel alone again, you know, like I'm just like kind of in my own little world. And not a week later, after the 3 girls quitting thing, I am told that like somebody walks out of practice, was wrestling me. We're live wrestling. So in wrestling practice, there's drilling, there's sparring, and there's live wrestling. Everyone has different names. Drilling, sparring, live wrestling. So drilling, you're just practicing. You're just going back and forth. You can drill in lots of different ways. Sparring, and the way that I think about sparring is that there comes with a percentage. So like somebody's going 90%, somebody's going 50%. So you're giving a little bit of resistance, and then, you know, the other person's giving almost all of their effort. And then there's live wrestling where everyone's going 100% all the time, which is required. You have to be doing that at practice. There's only one way to emulate a real match, and it's live wrestling. So we're doing that. Someone walks out crying when they're supposed to be wrestling me, and I'm like, what's going on? Well, I had done too much or been too intense or whatever. Yeah. And I was just like, if I ever would have walked out of a boys' practice crying because I you know,
man, they would have
somebody
torched you.
was going too hard on me, I would have been laughed at. Yeah. And been told to just go home. Like, just
that's
go
the way
home
you
then.
were conditioned.
That's just absolutely how it was for me. And like also, if you thought I was going to walk out of a room full of boys because I was, hurting or someone had gone too hard or this or that, you were wrong, because there's no way. There was no way. I was going to, like, there was multiple times I would be bloody, bruised, like 2 cracked ribs, everything, and I was still competing. Like, there was no way I was going to let anybody, like, tell me, slow down or take a break. Like, that wasn't going to happen. And so when I'm having these girls, so that situation was, essentially, I ran out of practice partners. That was my last practice partner that was willing to practice with me. And so I was wrestling Ben Burkle, a coach.
So now you only have a couple girls in the program. A few of them have just bailed, right?
Yeah.
Have quit.
We don't have a full lineup. We have I think there's 6 girls competing.
Hold that thought. Parker, this camera's blue. That's okay, right? This camera's blue instead of that one. This one's green. You're still getting it, right? We're still good? Okay, just want to make sure we're still recording. All good.
Yeah.
So, girls, now you have kind of about half the team that you had when you started your junior year.
Yeah.
You got no wrestling partners.
Yeah, I'm wrestling a coach.
You aren't considered a captain anymore because it's determined that Hannah's pushing girls out of the sport, when in reality all you want to do is bring girls into the sport.
Yeah, and I don't know how that parallel got so flipped. Like, there were so many nights when I would just lay in my bed and cry and just be like, what am I doing wrong? How am I seeing other schools excel in this? I'm looking at North Scott, I'm looking at Bettendorf, I'm looking at the Iowa City schools even. Iowa City West and Iowa City High have what appears on the outside to be this amazing team, and girls that are having so much fun and working together, making TikToks and just having the time of their lives. Because that's all I want to do is make TikToks. That's what we used to do all the time when I would do like out of high school season dual teams and stuff with all the other girls from all over the state of Iowa. And we would make TikToks and we would go to we would go get ice cream after we were done wrestling, and just that's all I wanted. And it was just somehow having such an opposite effect, and I just did not understand why. And like what I was doing wrong that was just creating this I don't even know what you would call it, just like creating this image that I was the bad guy. And I just did not understand what it was about me that just was not welcoming or inviting in a way, because that's what I was being told repeatedly, is that I'm not welcoming, I'm not inviting, and I'm not a coachable kid, and so that no one wants to be around me.
Is this a small town thing? Is this a wrestling thing? Is this a kids thing in general?
I think a lot of it has to do with some of the people that were involved, and just I think there was a little bit of jealousy involved now that I sit back and look at it. And Wilton, you said it, there's wrestling drama, it cycles. Every couple years.
Yeah, it just seems like every 4 or 5 years there's a wrestling dust up.
Yeah. And you know what? I might have been the center of that, and
you definitely were.
And I removed myself, and that made it worse. And it's simply because people just can't get enough sometimes.
So now you've got to ratchet out your junior year by wrestling Ben Burkle, the coach, because he's the only one who'll train with you at the Wilton program.
Yep.
And then you were going to club as well.
Yes. Yep.
And the divide starts to get even more, because I would imagine rumors start to spread. Hannah's pushing girls out of the wrestling program. She goes to this club. She comes in and out. And
and it was even worse. At one point my junior year. Well, and I should add too, if you know wrestling, I wrestle. So I wrestle's blasting my face all over the place. They blast everyone's face. If you're good at wrestling, you're going to get blasted on that. On that page.
But you're also a fit, good-looking blonde chick who's a tough wrestler chick.
Yeah.
You don't look like some grizzly old, scrapper girl, right? So the optic of it is very appealing to the sport itself too.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there going, I would think this would all be celebrated, but in fact it's being kind of poo-pooed.
Yeah, and I'm ranked number 1 at 120, 125. They're figuring out the rankings, because this is the first year sanctioned as well. So it's new for me, new and different from what I'm used to. We have a regional that we have to compete in before we can get to state. And I'm wrestling 125 because I tried to cut down to 120. That went horribly. It did not work well for me. And I was like, I'm 125. I'm wrestling 125. And felt good. Everything was going well. I lose a match randomly right before Christmas. And at this point, things already were going downhill, fast. Like, I was mentally in the dumps. My family was sick of it. Like, my parents were just at their wits' end at this point. And there were things that happened my sophomore year as well with some of the boys, and things were brought to the AD's attention and brushed under the rug, and just, it was like, are we not, like, gonna do anything about this? Are we just gonna, and that's what it was. It was like, we had personal conversations with the boys and the families involved, and apologies were said. Okay.
How much of this is like the school just not knowing how to handle this situation, and instead of roundtabling going, how do we figure this out? Now, I don't know what took place up at the school, but I have to imagine there were some conversations of like, how do we deal with this? But
and that's just what it was. And I just remember after I lost, like right before Christmas, and I remember crying in the hallway by myself, calling Sam, being like, I'm quitting. Like, I'm not doing this. I just lost to the number 5 ranked girl in 120, and I'm 125, and she didn't make weight, so she had to wrestle up, and I just lost. Got thrown in a headlock and lost. Like, I'm quitting. This is terrible. And she was like, you're not going to quit. You're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to go to practice, and everything's going to be fine. It doesn't matter. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares that you lost. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? And I said, I care. And I'm going to have to go to school tomorrow or on Monday, and everyone's going to talk about it, because everyone's going to know. Because I remember that there was a video that one of my teammates at the time had taken of me crying in the hallway, and it was like number 1 girl in the state, by the way, like making fun of me for crying in the hallway after a tough loss.
That would cut pretty deep.
And yeah, so I didn't react. Not a lot of people even know that I didn't.
Was that like a grade thread? Like, don't grades kind of have like a big text thread?
Private stories. Private stories are still a thing. And yeah, it was a private story, bash there for me. Yeah, and I was just like, wow, like, ouch.
And that was another wrestler teammate?
Yeah, like, do you know what it feels like to lose a wrestling match? Like, do you know? Especially when I always felt an immense amount of pressure after I won state. The pressure, and I'm the first person to say pressure is a privilege. And I live and breathe and die that quote, even in my officiating now. But, like, I always felt just this immense amount of pressure to perform and fear of failure, which I've worked on those things as well as I've grown. But yeah, it was like, thanks for rubbing it in my face. Like, sorry, I am upset. At least, because I see it a lot now officiating, I went to the hallway and cried and didn't throw a temper tantrum in front of everybody. Like, you can at least be grateful for that. Because, when you lose wrestling, I mean, I watch teenage boys every weekend throw their headgear and throw temper tantrums. Yeah. And I just can't help but giggle inside, of course, because there's a time and a place. Because it's like, oh,
the sun will come up tomorrow.
You're upset. And, like, I don't know. It was just like, that was like a real stab. And my parents don't even know that happened. They don't even know that. I didn't tell anyone, because I was just like, nothing's going to happen. No one cares. Literally no one cares. I could tell the coaches, I could have it screen recorded and turn it in and tell the AD and all that. It's going to get brushed under the rug just like everything else that's happened to me. It's not even worth making a big deal about.
Yeah. So at that point, you're like, I'm just going to continue to endure.
I might as well just, like, literally, I remember my mom telling me, like, put your headphones on. I got noise-canceling headphones. Drown out everything and just focus on yourself. Like, you're back to how it was when you were a sophomore. You don't have a team. It doesn't matter. Nobody else matters but you. And, like, it was to the point where at the state tournament, I was warming up with Jasmine Ludke from Ottumwa.
So now it's your junior year. You're at the state championship. First year girls wrestling is sanctioned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so to put that in perspective too, this is like, we had the regionals for the first time, so that was in Cedar Rapids. at Alliant Energy Center. Is that what it's called now?
Probably.
Yeah,
I think the sponsorship
it's the old
changes.
U.S. Cellular Center, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. I've never gotten to do this. I've been wrestling for 4 years, and like I've never wrestled in an arena like this. My whole family's there. It's so exciting. On top of that, I was ranked number 2 at this point at 125, and Mackenzie Childers, we're very respectable girls, and ranked number 1. And we're supposed to meet in the regional finals. And we're ranked number 1 and number 2 in the state. So how that happens, I don't know. Like, there was 2 regionals. There was 2 separate regionals happening at the same event, if that makes sense. So we were Region 5, and Region 6 was wrestling on the other side. Like, there was 3 mats and 3 mats. So there was Region 5 and Region 6, because they can only afford so many event arenas. So, like, somehow number 1 and number 2 at 125 ended up in the same region.
Not at the state final during the
regional
during
final.
the regionals.
So like a district final. So I was just like, well, crap. Like, I got to prove myself. A week before I break my nose, to add to that.
How?
Yeah, this girl's hip bone right to the nose.
Just during
wrestling. So it was actually at Mid Prairie. I actually have like severe PTSD walking back. Anytime I go to Mid Prairie, I'm just like, oh, this is where I broke my nose. Like, ugh. Yeah, I broke my nose and continued and finished the tournament. My mom like was scrambling trying to find those face masks that people wear. We found one. I wore it all week during practice, everything, hoping that my nose would heal. I mean, it was ginormous. Like, I had this huge bulb, and it was all bruised.
Oh.
My eyes were like, the bruising wasn't as bad because I had gotten ice on it right away, because during the match it happened, gushing, and I'm already a bleeder, so it's just gushing. We have 2 nose plugs. We're stopping like after every 30 seconds to take the double nose plugs out and put new ones in because we couldn't get to stop bleeding. It was ridiculous, like crazy. And yeah, so I'm wearing this face mask at regionals, and the problem is that it's not easy to wear this. I'm only a week into wearing it, because there's people that wear this face mask all the time. They have a broken nose, and if they just don't want to risk re-breaking it. And so I'm just not quite like adjusted to wearing this face mask and wrestling in it. And I wrestle fine. Everything's fine. Me and Mackenzie wrestle. I lose. I almost beat her, but I still lose. Whatever. Doesn't matter. The sun's going to rise up tomorrow. That one doesn't count. It doesn't matter. In a week is when it counts. So we make a group decision. Me, Sam, my mom, my dad, and TJ Siebel. We're ditching the face mask. It's over. Like, if you re-break it, so who cares? It doesn't matter. You've got, like, this is the last week, and then you can milk it until it's healed. Yeah. So we ditched the face mask for state. I'm just wrestling, and I have a crazy semis match. And yeah, but like throughout all this, I'm, kind of.
So you're wrestling with a broken. I imagine every bump has to hurt like hell, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah.
Because you're rubbing your face on.
Anytime you get it, like, bumped or just you scrunch a little bit, it's like, ugh. And it's not even like, I have a tattoo, it says seek discomfort. Like, that was something that Sam always used to say to me all the time. It was like, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. It was just like, to me, it was like I was uncomfortable. Like, okay. I was just a little uncomfortable for, that time period, not getting to wear my face mask. And when we were warming up, I would wear it. But when I was actually competing, I didn't wear it.
Okay.
So, yeah. And yeah, so I'm wrestling, everything's going great. And the semis, I had a crazy match, like crazy, with a girl from the complete other side of the state. And I'd always known her. Her name's Tatum Shepard. We both went to Simpson. She played softball at Simpson. And, we're girls. Like, we can get a little, talkative, and we could talk some crap. There's things that fly around, rumors fly. And it was very anticipated because we'd always wrestled like with each other, but never had to wrestle against each other. We'd always missed each other somehow. And so it was just very anticipated. Our wrestling styles were very different. So yeah. And I end up throwing her in a headlock and beating her, which was very much not me at all. Like, yeah, it was just crazy. And I win, and I'm like emotional. And I just remember like interviewers asking me, why are you so emotional? Because I did it. Yeah. I did it again. Like, whether I win tonight or not, I did it again. Like, despite what everyone and everything I've had to deal with, like, I did it again. Like, I went over the real hurdle of making it to the finals again. Because there was so much talk and just so much, like, what I was hearing from coaches and my teammates and everything, like beating Tatum was just not something that they foresaw happening. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, why can't, what?
And everything leading up to this state final, your junior year, you're also getting a lot of additional noise in the background at this point, right? Because you're not just practicing in Wilton and you're getting the extra work in these clubs, you're getting you're getting it from all kinds of angles as far as the heat.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too, like that's why I'm so loyal to Siebel, and that's why I'm so just like, they were my backbone through all of that. Sam was just my person through all of that. Those girls that went to that club with me and just were there, because they knew they would, I know that this was their thought process because they've told me about it. Like, they knew that I didn't have a good school practice, so they would come to club just so that they could be there for me to practice with me. Like,
and you're being called the traitor for that.
Oh, well, yeah. At Wilton, when I left, I was a traitor.
That doesn't come till, the traitor doesn't come for a minute yet.
Doesn't come until I finally,
So you go to the state finals.
Yeah.
You lose.
I lose.
You take second place, right?
In the state.
In state, you take a silver medal in state.
Yeah. Well, and that's funny because the day after is state duels. So my brother's wrestling in state duels, and Steve Shirk comes up to me and said, "You earned." Steve Shirk. Like, Steve Shirk.
God bless Steve Shirk.
And, oh my God, God bless Steve Shirk. And God bless his wife, Susie Shirk, my third grade teacher. She changed my life. I will never stop talking about how Susie Shirk changed my life in third grade. I wanted to be a third grade teacher because of her. Yeah. And every time I see her at a wrestling event or anywhere, in the salon, anywhere, I give her a hug. And she always asks me how life is. And we always get caught up. And he comes up to me and he says, "You earned second place. Do you know how hard it is to earn second place?" And I was like, "Yeah. I've had a hard year." And he goes, "I know you have. And you earned second place. And don't let anyone take that away from you."
Yeah.
And it was like, well, at least I made Steve Shirk happy. Like, at least he's proud of me. Like, if no one else is, at least Steve is. Like, one of those things.
And I think Steve's opinion on wrestling probably matters
more than
most anyone in this town.
More than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's the only. If I'm going to listen to anyone from this town, it's going to be him.
So you win silver. Is there a little bit more fanfare this time now that girls wrestling is sanctioned? You come back, you're bringing a silver medal back to the Wilton wrestling program?
Yeah.
Or are you wrestling as a Wilton? You're wrestling as a Wilton Beaver.
Yeah, I'm wrestling for Wilton.
You're wrestling for Wilton.
Yeah. So another thing I want to know is so for the finals, I don't know if you ever watched the high school wrestling state finals, boys or girls.
I've seen the boys on TV, right? Where they go to
coaches wear suits. Coaches get dressed up. Like, that's when you get to see your coach, who is only ever in wrestling shoes and sweatpants and sweatshirt, wear a suit. Because it's a formal event. You dress up. And I remember specifically my friend Jazz's coaches from Ottumwa. One of them's in a white suit with red shoes and a red tie. The other one's in a red suit with a white shirt and white shoes. Like, they are Ottumwa Bulldog pride, like crazy. And she wins, and it's beautiful, and everything's perfect. I'm like, wow. And my coaches don't dress up for the finals, and it's fine because they didn't think I was going to get there. Like, that just wasn't on their minds, or that anyone was going to get there. I'm assuming that had to been their thought process because, it is what it is, whatever. And I lose, and it's fine, and I come off the mat, and I remember just walking, right past the coaches' chairs and just walking right out of the tunnel and just going and sitting on, our cooler at camp. And I didn't cry. I sat down and I just let it go. I was like, crap. And I just started crying. And an interview person, somebody that works for the news, because they always come up and try to talk to you, whatever. He goes, "Hannah, when you get a second," I said, "I'm going to need more than a second."
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to give me more than a second." So then I go and hide in the bathroom for literally an hour. I don't have my phone or anything, so no one can find me. So then everyone's like, "Well, we can't find Hannah."
Yeah.
And so that was a whole big thing because they couldn't find me forever. But I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to hear anything that anyone has to say. And so I don't think I end up talking to literally any of the news people or anything. And because obviously they still want to talk to you because you're still from their area and you still did good. But I don't want to talk to anybody. So I remember my mom got us a hotel, so I went back to the hotel with her and just like was like, it's over. And little does anybody know at this point, I had already decided that I was going to Bettendorf. I was keeping it a secret. And nobody from Bettendorf knew that I was going there besides Coach Sass and Coach Knight. We decided at regionals that that's where I was going to go. And we had talked to Zach Shea, their AD, and Coach Sass, and then Coach Knight as well. And they were ecstatic, so happy. We're like, this is awesome.
Because in the world of open enrollment.
Yeah, and you're going to help our program in so many ways. So yeah, we'll welcome you with open arms if you're not happy where you are. We approached them. That's the other thing that people get confused by. I was paid no money. My gas bill was not paid for. You
guys didn't get a knock on the door one night and it's a bunch of people in Bettendorf coats and everything saying, hey, can we come in and chat?
No, it's not college. No. I looked at the programs around me and said, who has the most practice partners for me and who's going to push me to be the hardest? Everybody knows who Dan Knight is. Look at him and look at the teams that he's created and the accomplishments that he's had. I mean, look at Bettendorf girls program. They produced Ella Schmidt, who's amazing and a very decorated wrestler. So that was like one of the only logical options. There was a couple other things we had been considering, but at the end of the day, it was Bettendorf all the way through. And don't get me wrong, my mom and dad both were extremely hesitant because that's a culture shock. That is a culture shock for somebody. And like to go from Wilton, which I knew everybody in the school. I knew every single person's name in the school.
In Wilton.
In Wilton. I knew everybody's name. And everybody knew my name. Like that's how this school
Isn't it
works.
funny how you just growing up here, you just think that's the norm, and then like when I met my wife, I'm like, I met someone that said they were in your grade, and who? And I say their name, but I don't know. I'm like, how do you not know they were in your grade? It's like we had 300 people in my grade. Yeah. I'm like, what?
So yeah, like my mom, I think was so scared. Like she admits it now, but at the time she had to be strong for me. But yeah. And my parents were terrified, specifically my mom. She was so scared for me. And I was terrified. I didn't want anyone to know that I was terrified, but I was so terrified because I was taking a literal leap of faith.
Can you walk me through the kitchen table conversations? Because I can imagine if that was going on like with me, let's say I was going to jump ship and go play some sport that I wasn't that good at. You know, you were great at wrestling, but you're right. If I was going to go play sports somewhere else.
So
I've got to imagine, right? It's like this town is going to lose its mind, right? Was that something you guys were considering where you're like, you know what? We love Wilton, but at the same time, it's like we got to do what's best for Hannah here.
Yeah, and so it kind of started, like I had never, from the beginning of high school, I had very few friends. I had left sports where I had friends. And I just lost friends within school as time had gone on. And because I wasn't doing the same things as them, I was also showing Livestock at this point. So I had lots of friends, but none of them went to Wilton High School. And a lot of them were spread out. I had friends throughout the whole entire country. Like some of my best friends at the time when I was a freshman and sophomore in high school were 3 to 4 hours away from me. And I would only see them at Livestock shows. And so it was just, I was always kind of by myself. And like I always kind of told my parents, like, I hate school. I have no friends at school. And, you know, they take that with a grain of salt. They're like, you have friends, you know?
Yeah.
And around my junior year for homecoming, I could not get a homecoming group. I could not get a date. I was like, I don't think I'm going to go.
Really? Hannah Rogers,
the
blonde bombshell, state champ wrestling chick, can't get a date to homecoming or junior year.
And I was like, I know, like, I may not, like, come across as the nicest girl, but, like, I promise I'm a nice person. Like, I promise. And so I ended up going with one of my best friends named Jake Stone, who's still a great friend of mine. And I go with my brother. He's my homecoming group, my brother, and then he goes with my best friend Brenna, who goes to a different school. She goes to Minneapolis. That was our homecoming group, my junior year. So that's when my parents were like, okay, girl, like, are you, like, what's going on? So yeah, that's when specifically like my mom started to kind of clock that stuff, and I didn't hang out with anybody on the weekends. No one ever came over to my house. Like, it was never like that. I never had friends like that. Even growing up, I never really had friends like that. Like, sleepovers were few and far between for me. And I was hanging out with the neighbor girls and, like, you know, when I was younger, but we also lived out in the country, so we were far. Sleepovers were few and far between.
Not only out in the country, but you guys like have legit chores.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You're, I don't want to call you a farm kid necessarily, but
I was a
think
livestock kid.
You're a livestock kid, and that is hard, cold, dirty, thankless work that has to happen every single day.
And that's the thing. That was my summers, was livestock. So I was getting up at 4 a.m., having cattle in the cooler by 4:30 so that they weren't out in degrees below 70. I was washing and rinsing twice a day, They were getting fed, their hair was getting worked, I was doing stick work. Like, I had sheep that I was, you know, working out every day, like running my sheep on a treadmill. If you don't understand livestock, you're going to think I'm speaking gibberish. But yeah, like, I was doing that stuff in the summers along with wrestling. But yeah, like, I just never really felt like I fit in. Like, some of my best friends were the boys in my math class, and I helped them pass math. That's why we were friends. Which, I don't care. Like, they got me through math, I got them through math. You know what? It's okay. Like, you know, and I don't know. It was just, and it's crazy because I never realized why I felt the way I did until I moved to Bettendorf. And then all of a sudden, it was like,
well,
holy crap.
Here's the part of the story where I start to kind of pay attention. Like, I was just like, because I don't live in Wilton, you know, I'm born and raised here, but I live in the Quad Cities. But my Facebook has all kinds of Wilton things on it.
Yeah.
So, you know, up until this point, I'm just seeing a lot of Hannah posts, usually your parents. Your parents are very proud. They're posting a lot of stuff. And I know you as a livestock girl and a girl that's really good at wrestling.
Yeah.
And I remember walking into work one day and my mom goes, "Did you hear Hannah Rogers transferred to Bettendorf?" And I went, "Really?" And I immediately thought, oh, that is going to really ruffle some feathers here in town.
And see, my mom and dad were both very scared. I was almost to that. When we got to, like, the sit down conversation, I was like, listen, I can't stay here. I said, I'll go to school here. I'll go to school, but I won't wrestle. Like, I'll just be done. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, this isn't going to happen anymore. And this would have been, like, around Christmas break time. Like, when I was like, I can't. Like, I really can't do this anymore. I'm like, homeschool me. And I'll just wrestle all club stuff and go to college opens. And just try to get into college that way. I'll only wrestle freestyle. I'll give folk style up. Like, I'm serious. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. And my parents were like, okay. And I was like, so are you gonna let me transfer, or what are we doing? And they're like, okay, well, all right. And they were like, do you realize what this is going to do? And I was like, I don't know, you know, like, what do you mean? And they're like, you are going to upset so many people. And I didn't realize at the time. I was almost like double birds up, like, goodbye. I don't care at that point because I'm just so fed up. And then it got to the point where my parents backed me 100%. And it took 24 hours. Yeah. To be like, when they realized what I wanted, they were like, all right, we got to back up our girl. Like, that's our daughter, you know? And so, yeah, it was one night and that's all it took. And then it was like, okay.
So and what's it like as your first day as a Bettendorf Bulldog after you've been a Wilton Beaver your whole life?
I specifically remember that my mom came with me because she had to, like, go and do the extra mom stuff. I don't know. There was, like, paper she had to sign or whatever, and, like, I didn't want to go by myself or something. I had to figure out my classes or something. Like, it was like my orientation. There was an emotional support dog, and I was like, oh my God, this is the best day of my life. Like, there's an emotional support dog at the school. Like, this is so cool. Like, what do you mean? And this is so good. They had like 4 or 5. I was like, wow. Like, there's just a dog I can pet. Like, I thought that was cool. Like, little did I know, like, there's a swimming team, there's a soccer team, like, all this stuff I didn't know about. There's all kinds of clubs. There's all kinds of stuff that just Wilton doesn't have access to that you have access to at Bettendorf, just because you're in a bigger, more populated area. And Yeah, she's going to love this. So my very first day, I meet a girl named Morgan Streif. I knew her younger sister, Taylor, and I knew of Morgan, but I knew Taylor because she had been very prominent in the wrestling world and wrestled for Agogi and Bettendorf and like Big Game and all this stuff. And like, I just knew who she was and had gotten third at the tournament the year that I had gotten second. So like, we're talking a year, like just right after this. And so I meet Morgan. Me and Morgan have a very similar class schedule. So she's my buddy. She's like quiet and just like almost afraid of me in a way, I felt like. And I was like, please don't be scared of me. Like, I really need friends. So like, please be my friend. And we ended up being like such good friends. Like such good friends. I don't think I've ever cried as hard as I did when Morgan was done wrestling our senior year. She ended up getting 8th place, lost her first round and got 8th place, which is like so hard to do in wrestling. Like she had to win, I think it was 7 matches straight to podium.
Wow.
Lost her first round, which was like an upset, which sucked. And then wins 7 matches straight to podium. And I don't think I've ever cried so hard just because she just works her butt off. And like, little did I know on that very first day of school there. And like, I had my buddy Morgan, because we had Algebra 2 together, we had PE together, and then there was like another class, and she would come and meet me after my classes and like make sure that I got to my next class fine. And just was like, you know, there to help me and support me. And she introduced me to some of her friends, and I met other friends through my classes. And like, I was also at this time training for the High School Girls Showcase. So any girls that podiums at the state tournament can go to the High School Girls Showcase in Vegas. So I was training for that. And I was going to open mats. So I was wrestling at the Bettendorf open mats with any other girls that would go, and then some of the boys too. And it was like, I could wrestle the boys, I could wrestle the girls, I could wrestle Coach Sass, I could wrestle Coach Knight, I could wrestle whoever I wanted to wrestle. It didn't matter. It was just, we're here to wrestle, so let's wrestle. So I was just wrestling after school. Then I would go to club, and then that was my training schedule at that time. I would wrestle open mat at school, and then I would come home, shower, then go to club, and then come home and shower and go to bed, and then repeat it all over again. And yeah, so that's kind of where that started, and that's where I started to make friends with more of the girls. And
so at this point now, this is still your junior year.
Still my junior year.
It's the back half of your junior year.
Yeah.
You're at Bettendorf.
Yeah.
At Bettendorf School, but you're still living here in Wilton. So you're driving to school every day. You're commuting.
So it's 40 minutes.
I know.
Yeah, I was saying you would know. Yeah.
And so you're going, and now but you're coming back to town, and you're interacting still somewhat with people you used to go to school with. Yeah. And what is that like?
Yeah, so on my last day of school at Wilton, we had it was the end of their quarter as well. So like, we had our Pride and Prejudice project due, and I can't remember what Mrs. Miller did, but it was like a certificate of something for completing your Pride and Prejudice project. And she filled mine out, and then someone wrote traitor on it on my last day of school there, because I basically was going to Irish goodbye everybody. That was my plan. I didn't tell anybody. I told nobody. I told no teachers. I told no students. I told nobody. The only people that knew were my brother. My brother was the only person in the school that knew.
Yeah.
Until they sent over, Bettendorf had to start getting in contact with Wilton to send transcripts and information.
Sure, now the cat's out of the bag.
So this was like 2 days before I was done, because they were going on spring break, because it was like basically between spring break, that's when I was transferring. The word starts to get out. Yeah, so someone writes traitor. I have a picture of it on my phone, on my certificate, and I was like, oh, how kind of you.
Yeah.
And I remember the look on the AD at Wilton's face when I told him, and he was just like, are you serious?
Yeah, no one transfers. Who leaves, right? Who goes?
And I was like, sign the paper, please. Like, I can't leave until you sign it. Like, just sign it. I don't want to talk to you.
What were you feeling like when you went in to get the AD's signature? Was this a sense of pride, or were you kind of nervous? Like, what were you going through? Was this a screw you, or was this
and at the time I was very emotional about it, because I was terrified. Like, deep down I was.
You're still a kid.
I was 17. Like, I was a baby. I wasn't even I was 17. 17 gonna be 18. Like, I was just, and I'm like an emotional person, like I am, and I was just like, please sign my paper, like shaking, you know. And there was my psychology teacher too, was like, he's a very proud Wilton alumni, coaches at Wilton, things, and is like, all I remember her saying was, I really hope you get what you want out of this, because if it's better college attention, you're not going to get it at that school. And I just remember being like, it has nothing to do with college. Please sign my paper.
So this was really anything but, hey, you do you, good for you, you got to do what's best for Hannah.
The only person, which her name's not even Deemer anymore, but Miss Deemer was so proud of me. And that was my English teacher. And she taught something else too. She taught like a couple classes that I had been in, and she was always just the best. Like anytime I was like cutting weight, couldn't eat, managing my weight, whatever, like she would always have Jolly Ranchers for me to come in and steal, or a lollipop that I could come in and suck on. Like she was that girl. Like her dad was a wrestling coach at West Branch. So like she gets it. She gets it.
Yeah.
So she like gave me a hug and she was like, I'm so proud of you. Like this is gonna be the best thing. This is gonna be the best thing for you. Like, and I hope you get everything you want. And I hope that you chase your dreams like that. And she was one of the only people. Yeah, it was weird. And of course, Jill Proctor, because she plays middleman and everything, and she's Mama Jill, and that's just who she is. She works at the front office, and yeah, she would let me go to my chiro because I would go to the chiro every week too, which was so funny, which was very interesting. Transferring to Bettendorf, how to calculate how to get to and from the chiro, because I was having to go every week wrestling. Like I need that, my body needed it. So, yeah, it was.
And then you start your senior year at Bettendorf.
Yeah, so I start my senior year at Bettendorf, and I have, at this point, over the summer, I had made so many friends. I had become friends with Nessa Salmani, Kaylee Jerzik, some of Kaylee's friends at this point she had introduced me to, like Nicholas Harvey, who I live with now, Aaron Hill. Like, I'm becoming friends with a bunch of these Bettendorf people. Just from the fair, because like, you know, the Mississippi Valley Fair, big thing for Quad Cities kids. So we all become friends. We're going together. We're having so much fun. And I'm like, this is going to be great. I have friends. I have a friend group. I remember like Kaylee texted me the night before Senior Sunrise and is like, hey, Senior Sunrise is tomorrow. I completely forgot to text you. Let me add you to the group chat so that we can make a plan. We're all going to meet here. We're all going to get Starbucks. We're going to go. We're going to take pictures, all this. And I had never been included in anything like that in my life.
Right.
I didn't even
This
know.
is your first real exposure to like having like friends and you're running around and doing stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like this is a
no.
first for you at this point. You're a senior in high school.
And I was just like, oh my, that life is great. Like I'm so happy right now. And they couldn't know that. Because I was like, I want them to think that I am like.
This is just another day at the office.
Okay. So I just remember, like, I started senior year, and I was having so much fun. I was going to football games. Our football team was good, first of all. I was also coming back and watching Gatlin whenever Bettendorf was not at home. And this is when things started to get a little bit ugly and just seemed like so, like, why? I went to the homecoming parade with my grandma. I call her Mama. We were sitting in the trunk of her SUV, and watching the parade, like supporting, because Gatlin's in the parade, he's on the football team, and I'm like, I'll do a pep rally anytime. I love to watch Step Rats perform. Like, I was on the Step Rats in freshman year, you know, and the football team goes by on the fire truck, and some kids start chucking candy at me and my grandma and screaming, traitor, 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 you're a traitor. And I'm just like, first of all, I can't believe you just threw candy at my grandma. Like, chucking candy at me, at my grandma. Do you want me to come unglued right now? Like, seriously?
How much of this was it kids being kids, and how much of it do you feel like it was legitimate heat where...
There was so many... So, like, in that situation, it's just like, grow up.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Grow up.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, seriously? But then... just hearing what parents were saying and like the back and forth and just the crap talking, it was just like, gee, like you're a grown adult talking about a minor.
Yeah.
A girl, a high school girl, you're a grown adult, seriously. And then there was the situation with the girls drawing on my mom's car in the dust at football games. They would draw, go back to bet, B word. Very big. Like large.
Yeah.
And the Seabolt sticker was peeled off my mom's car. and cuss words on my mom's car, all kinds of things, just nasty stuff.
And your mother's not known for backing down either.
No, at all. Like,
Yeah.
I get it from her. Like, if you try to mess with me or my family,
Yeah.
that's one way to get me just fired up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So that just really heightened it all. It was just like, seriously? It's over and done with. Like, seriously. There's no bad blood. Nobody at this point really knows why I left, because nobody has ever asked my side of the story until right now. Genuinely. Unless you're my family or a close friend.
Yeah.
So
it's just assumed that, well, we're not good enough anymore, and Hannah has gone on to greener pastures, and I guess our program isn't good enough for Hannah Rogers.
Right.
Where when you really start to understand all the dynamics and all the things that were going on, all the pain that you're going through, and how lonely that you're feeling, and all these things, and you're just like, this is my only time I have for high school. You only
I have
and it's
one
like
year left.
I have 1 year left. Let me try to make something of this.
Right. And it just to the point where it's like I'm at a football game with my friend Nessa. I bring Nessa, my Bettendorf friend, so I don't have to go by myself, to the football game to sit with my parents, of course, not in the student section. I wasn't like trying to provoke anything or.
You go to a Wilton game.
Yeah, I go to a Wilton game. I would have been a senior, and like at Wilton, you're a senior, you get to stand in the front row. Same thing at Bettendorf. Don't get me wrong, whatever. Yeah, I mean their football games were just as fun, and I'm walking by because like you kind of have to walk in front of the student section to go to the concession stand, and go back to B word. You're a traitor. The hell are you doing here? Go home. Like just like crazy stuff that I'm just like. Hello? And like Nessa will tell you firsthand, like we witnessed it. Like she was like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, yeah. Yep. I'm like, that is how just like, and at that point she didn't even know why I left. Everyone just kind of knew Wilton wasn't the place for me. They didn't have the training partners that I wanted. That was the surface level that I would just let people know, you know? So
Now you're at Bettendorf. Wrestling season's going.
yeah,
and you're in. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the Bettendorf division or whatever, it's bigger. The pool's bigger, right?
Oh.
You're wrestling against way bigger schools with way more girls, right?
So
is that how it works?
So yes, and at that point there was no classes, so we were wrestling against everybody that we could, like the best teams. We want to go to the best, most competitive tournaments, but at that point, competition wasn't divided by class yet. My senior year, it was the year after my senior year that they had divided it by class.
Okay.
So
this is a come one, come all type of thing.
Come one, come all. Yes. So we were one of the highest ranked teams in the state at one point. You know, we had injuries and whatnot throughout the season, but yeah, I essentially, the way I explained it to people is I went from having no partners to having 6 exchangeable girls that were willing to wrestle me at all times, and vice versa.
How many of those girls quit by having you in the room with them?
Oh, no, nobody. There was not a single girl that quit.
Right.
At Bettendorf.
So maybe that's a little bit of an indicator. Maybe you aren't the polarizing figure.
It was never a me problem. Not a single girl at Bettendorf quit. It only pulled more girls in mid-season, actually. And I think it's a reflection of coaching. I think it's a reflection of resources. I think it's a reflection of environment, 100%. Like, the environment that Sass and Ducey created, Coach Sass and Coach Ducey created my senior year, was just so different from anything I had ever been exposed to. And it was like, okay, so we had a varsity team and a JV team. We're all going to warm up together and we're all going to practice at the same time, but JV is running on one side of the room, varsity is running on the other side of the room. We're doing essentially the same things. JV's working on, what they need to be working on. Varsity's working on what they need to be working on. And we're practicing for 2 hours at a time. And it's just like an ebb and flow constantly. We're exchanging. Whenever we're going live, it's like I can wrestle. I have 7 different people I can choose from to wrestle. Like, it was insane. Like, it was just like I could, and I had Morgan Streif was one of my main partners, and she would, and it was only her 2nd year wrestling, 3rd year wrestling, and she pushed me harder than anybody. Her and Nessa, both, and it was Nessa's 2nd year wrestling at that point. They would push me so hard because they just wouldn't quit. And it was just instilled in them. And I don't know if it's the water they drink there. I don't know what it is. But, yeah, it was just crazy. And they were not only, like, we were not only kicking each other's butts, but we were, at the end of the practice, picking each other up and, like, you know, walking back to the locker room together and having sleepovers every night. Because I wouldn't go home. On tournament nights, we would practice late. I'd go stay at Nessa or Taylor's house, and, you know, we'd shower and go to bed and then wake up and go get on the bus, and, yeah.
So you're coming home to Wilton. You're still catching a ration of shit from time to time from other kids.
Yeah.
Your folks are catching a ration of shit from time to time.
Yeah, I think they might have got the worst of it. Honestly.
Yeah, probably. And then state tournament rolls around for Bettendorf, your senior year.
Yeah.
And at this point, things are pretty good, all things considered. You've got some pals, you've got some great training partners, and now you're wrestling for Bettendorf.
Yeah.
And then we start to see on Facebook, it was almost like a shock for me because I'm seeing Hannah in a black and gold singlet. You know, there's pictures of you being posted. You're enjoying some success at Bettendorf, and it's state wrestling time.
Yeah.
So take me to that tournament.
And so, to back up a little bit, I won regionals that year, which is the first time I'd ever done that. Like, I hadn't done that. And I just remember being like, I freaking did that. And, like, I got to do it with my girls. And there was 11 seniors that year. I was one of the 11 seniors. And most of those girls had wrestled 2 or 3 years, like, kind of since their freshman year as well. And we were all just so close. Like, just so close. Like, closer than I had been with anybody, ever. Because I just had never had friends like that. And I just remember, like, winning regionals and them all just being so excited for me because I was like, guys, if I win regionals today, this will be the first time I ever win regionals. Like, I've never won a regional. And they were like, oh, wait, like, you haven't? And I'm like, yeah. And they were so excited for me when I won. And then, you know, we're going into state, and our mindset is, like, eight regional qualifiers, 8 state champs. Like, no doubt. You know, all of us have the ability to do it. You know, we're gonna clear it out. Like, we're gonna do it. And you always have to have high hopes. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. You always have to shoot higher than what you're aiming for. And yeah, so tournament starts. Everything's good. I make it to the semis, and I drop my semis match. And I did everything I could to prepare. I watched film. I listened to everything my coaches said. I ate right. I cut weight right. I did everything right. I just got turned to my back. And sometimes that happens. Yeah. And I just remember, like, after the match, I walked back throughout the tunnel, and everyone was my whole team was watching. And there's rules of who can be on the floor at what times and whatnot. And I go back into the hallway, and I get tucked behind a corner, and there comes Coach Nate around the corner, and he goes, "This will not change whether you win a national championship in a year from now or not. This isn't going to change." He said, it doesn't matter. Like, you need to get off this floor because in about 45 minutes you have to go wrestle and win so that you can get 3rd place. So you can't sit here and cry. Like, we gotta dry it up.
On your feet, soldier.
Yeah, let's go. And I just remember being like, okay, he's right. Like, he's right. Because 125 that year was stacked. I came back and had to wrestle a full another 6 minutes. Like, I had just lost. I had never lost in the semis in my career. And that's really hard pill to swallow. Like, 3rd place, if you talk to anybody that knows wrestling, 3rd place is sometimes the hardest place to get. Because you have to come back from losing in the semis, win 2, or win your wrestle back, and then go out and wrestle your 3rd and 4th place match and win that match. And so I wrestled, won, and it was like, you can breathe. Because your 3rd and 4th place match is going to be against this girl. Her name's Callistora. She's a senior this year. You know, you've never had to wrestle her, ever. But it doesn't matter if you win or lose, because we're not going to win the team title. That had been, figured out. We weren't going to win the team title. Because all of us had just had a tough tournament. And, it was just went out and beat Callista. And their pictures are, like, kind of crazy. And I think they are. Reese Schrader took them. She now works for the Daily Iowan, and she does a great job. Like, I think she's going to be a professional photographer for the rest of her life. She took these pictures that just explain the moment. I'm like on my knees, head in the air, crying. My hands are out like this. And it was just like, thank you, wrestling, you know? Like one of those moments where it's just like, thank you. And I get up and I get my hand raised and I walk over to Coach Sass and he just hugs me and I just have my head in his shoulder. And he was like, you did it. You completed your high school season. Because I had opened up to him about like, hey, like I was going to quit. Like I wasn't going to do this anymore. And he was like, you did it. Like you finished. Like you completed. The hardest thing that anyone can do is like to make it all 4 years in a sport in high school. Because high school sports are hard. College is a whole nother level, don't get me wrong. But high school sports are hard. So he was like, that's all he said was like, you did it. And Coach Knight, I can't remember what he said. Probably something about the fact that I literally did a front flip to try to get out of legs. I did a front flip. Legitimately, Callista's a legger, which if you don't know what that is in wrestling terms, you put legs in and it's just really hard to get out. And I did a front flip to get out of it because I really was not prepared for that. I had never had to like deal with someone like that was good at that. And so I just did a front flip to get out of it. Like literally a somersault front flip thing. And it was embarrassing, but it worked. And yeah, but yeah.
Of the so you go sophomore year,
I win.
Gold, junior year silver,
Yeah.
senior year bronze. The question is, what's your favorite one?
My sophomore year changed my life. Genuinely changed my life forever. And it is my favorite because I won, but not far behind it is my senior year. For sure. Even though I got third place.
Yeah.
I did it with a bunch of people that I loved and that loved me and had the most fun wrestling I had ever had in my life for for the whole entire season. And everything that came after that too.
Do you think other athletes, wrestlers specifically, are going through what you went through early on in your high school career when it came to just especially girls, right? I mean,
yeah.
but girls wrestling, it's a whole nother world now than it was even 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. At the time, everyone I had kind of talked to and opened up to about it, no. Nobody else was experiencing what I was experiencing. Any other girls that, were good enough. Like, for an example, I think of Molly Allen. She wrestles at OSU now. She wrestled at Oakland Riverside. And she was still wrestling with the boys. There was a lot of girls that still got to wrestle with the boys because they always had been. They weren't limited to, the new girl partners. Because that was the biggest thing for me. Because I was not training like I wanted to train. And it had been engraved in my brain the year prior, you have to put your all into this. 365 days. Like the whole entire season, let alone every day of the year. If you're going to be good at wrestling, you have to put 100% effort into it all the time. And I believe that's what got me to where I was my sophomore year. I had a gas tank like no other. I was ripped. I was lean. I was, my technique obviously got better from that point on, but it was just crazy. Like, because I had done everything right and was getting the best possible training that someone could get, a girl could get at that time, because I was wrestling with boys. And I just kind of thought, like, if I'm not going to be allowed to wrestle with the boys, then I don't know what to do. So then it was like, what can I do to set myself up for success? Because clearly what's going on right now as a junior is not working. And after talking to other girls and hearing, you got to chase the partners. That's what makes you good, is your practice partners. It's not about how big are the tournaments that you go to and all that. It's what you're doing every single day and who you're practicing with every single day. And other schools had that support system for certain girls, or they were letting them wrestle with the boys. So then I had to make a change for myself and choose a school that had a practice partner, happened to be 6 or 7 of them, constantly for me to train with. And I did that, and it ruffled feathers and made a lot of people mad. So.
At the end of all this,
Yeah.
are you thankful? Right, because like you had to endure a lot of pain emotionally
Yep.
and physically. You got thumped on in the wrestling room.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately it led to a senior year where you forged a whole lot of friendships,
Oh,
a whole
yeah.
lot of relationships, lifelong friendships.
Yeah, I live with two Bettendorf grads that graduated with me that are my best friends.
And so I would
now.
imagine like you can think of a long list of people that you would have never otherwise been close with had you not transferred to Bettendorf.
Yeah.
You would have not transferred to Bettendorf
Yeah.
if things were all
Fine
gumdrops and
and
lollipops in Wilton for you.
Which I think God has a plan for everybody and everything, and I think that was his plan. Like, I had to go through this and go through what I was going through at Wilton, and just everything that happened and the time that I spent there happened for a reason, and ultimately helped me make a decision to move, and forced me to, in a way, and it ended up being the absolute best thing for me, 100%. And I simply, I am. I'm thankful and grateful that those things happened, because it put me in the place that I am today. And scars and bumps and bruises along the way, and
Yeah, I'm sure I'm getting the redacted version of a lot of things that.
there's just some stuff that doesn't need to be out in the
Yeah,
public.
and that's
for
fine.
sure.
And we don't need to dig all that up. But
Yeah.
but I will say that this world is full of blessings everywhere, and a lot of times it feels like this is anything but a blessing right now.
Yeah.
And you can't possibly even look at it as a blessing at that moment.
No,
but now
it's
looking
taken me
back,
up until this year to step back and be like, there's no like hatred, there's no like real anger. I used to get very fired up and angry about it. Like my senior year, so angry. So angry. Like mad tears, like just upset, like over anything that would trip my trigger, that it just involved Wilton, or if like somebody said something that just was like, I was like, why would you even say that? Like, why would you say something like that to me? And it's just, I've learned and grown through that situation and some of the things that have happened. And like, it's almost like you just got to get to know me, and then you'll kind of figure out, that I've been through a lot. So I'm kind of like an onion, you gotta get to know me a little bit, and you'll learn a little bit more as you get to know me, because it wasn't easy in high school for me at all. And I look at other people's wrestling careers, or, one of my dear friends, Sophie Barnes, just got inducted into her high school's Hall of Fame. First girl wrestler ever to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. She was amazing. Wrestled with her a lot. I'll never be in a high school's Hall of Fame. I will, I was up for female athlete of the year at Bettendorf my senior year, which I was astonished.
were you really?
I was
How narrow was that field? Is there like one
There
in
was
each?
4 girls. It was me, Emily C., Peyton Markham, Jordan.
For the wrestling team.
No.
This
was
is 4
all
in the
sports.
whole, all girls in
Seniors.
all of Bettendorf, all seniors. So like a field of, 300 some probably students. You got some, maybe call that, 100
Yeah.
athletes maybe.
Yeah.
But out of 100 girls, I'm speculating, to be in the top 4 chosen. I mean,
as a single sport athlete that had gone there for 1 year.
Wow.
I was in the running for that. And Emily C. won. She wrestled as well. Amazing. I love her. She runs track at Wichita State now. She deserved that 100%. I was honored to even be in the running for that. But it's just like, I will never be in a high school's Hall of Fame. I'll never be on the walls in Wilton's wrestling room, or they have a Hall of Fame or Wall of Fame. I'll never be on that because I never graduated from there. And at Bettendorf, they have like a records wall and whatever, and I might be on that, but I wasn't athlete of the year. I won't be, it's just, there's certain things that it's like, I'll miss out on stuff like that, because I remember looking up specifically at Wilton's Wall of Fame that they have, and just seeing the names. Like specifically, remember a Kyle Paulson. icon, right? Like his pictures on the wall. Emily Lang, Aubrey Putman, just seeing and being like the biggest fans of some of those high school athletes, and then seeing their pictures on the Wall of Fame, it's just like, oh, one day I just want to make it up there. And I remember specifically because the criteria to get on that wall for wrestling is only a state championship. That's the only way you can, which I don't know if they've adjusted that now, but the only way you can get up there is if you win a state championship. Being like, Mom, I get to be on the wall. And because I didn't graduate, I never will be. So, yeah.
Then you graduate, and then you go to college.
Yes.
You go to Simpson for a hot minute, right?
Yep, I go to Simpson for a semester.
And you're wrestling there, right?
Yep, I wrestled there. Yep.
And then the wrestling flame just starts to die down a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the right way of putting it?
Yeah. My love for training specifically died a lot inside. And you can blame it on a lot of different things, coaches, partners, program, all the things. I think internally it just got to be too much, and I know what it takes to compete and the work you have to put in, the time you have to put in to be competitive, and I just wasn't willing to do that anymore, and that's when I knew it was time to be done. And so I took a break initially and then ultimately decided to just be done. And yeah, I think a lot of people were shocked just because I was so competitive in high school and just my whole life was wrestling. But I also kind of realized that my whole life was wrestling. And like, there's a lot more to life than just wrestling. There's so much more to life than just wrestling. And it's okay for that to be, your identity in high school or as part of your identity in high school. But there's so much more to life than just wrestling. And that's when my love for nursing had kind of perspired at that point. And at Simpson specifically, they don't have a nursing program. So it would have been 5 years in school to get my nursing degree. And I was just like, you can get your nursing degree in 2 years at any community college anywhere in America. And then I'd be done with school and I could just work. So I was like, maybe I'll just come home and, do that instead. And so that's ultimately what I ended up doing. So
these high school athletes, especially wrestlers, because it's a combat sport.
Yeah.
It's high intensity. It's high training. It's the highs are high, the lows are low, right? What do you say to these former athletes that graduate high school and now they just kind of slip into life, right? Like, do you see yourself sinking your inner warrior into something? Like, you love nursing, but you can't be intense with nursing.
Right. So it was really hard at first. I really struggled working out. Like, specifically with wrestling, everyone that wrestles is going to have a hard relationship with the scale. They're going to have a hard relationship with food. It's just part of it, And I love fruits and veggies. I grew up on a farm. I love meat. I love rice. I'll eat chicken and rice every day. Like, I can eat healthy and clean, so that is not super hard for me. Don't get me wrong, I also love McDonald's. Like, I'm human. But the scale in the gym was really hard for me for a while until I just realized that, like, there's no need to weigh yourself. There's no need to do any of that. Just go to the gym to release, like, for a release. And that's what I do now, still to this day, whether it's me and my roommate, Erin, and Nick both, we've been really into hot yoga, which just sounds super crazy, but it's like, in a way, it's a lot like wrestling, like it's a release. Because, like, practice for me at like, when I was loved wrestling was a release. I was having so much fun while practicing and just working my butt off, don't get me wrong, but I was also having fun. And so it was a release. So, like, now I can use the gym and working out as a release because I get to do it with my roommates or my brother or my boyfriend or my whoever I'm getting to work out with that day. It's like a release for me. So you have to kind of find something that's a release for you. So for me, it's working out in the gym. And then on top of that, I stay connected to wrestling through officiating. A lot of people coach. And I have coached, I help at Siebel like the club. I help with the little girls. But for me, it's been officiating because I started doing that my junior year after, I don't remember even how or why I really started, besides the fact that Adam Hargrave had officiated my state finals match when I won, and he was like, you need to officiate. Like, we need more people. And I was like, okay. So I started, and somewhere along the lines, I got pretty good at it. I don't know when or how, but I got pretty good at it. And yeah, now I am officiating like could be a full-time job if I wanted it to be.
Do you want it to be?
During wrestling season, it could be full-time. Yeah. Yes, I love it. I do. Because I stay connected to the sport. And ultimately, like, I learn more about wrestling every time I officiate anything. Whether it's middle school girls, or it's youth, or it's the Dan Gable Donnybrook. Like, I'm always learning. I'm always learning how to approach a situation as somebody in the stripes. Because the other thing about officiating is that you control everything. You have so much control, especially in the sport of wrestling. Not only in other sports too, but in wrestling you have so much control. You could genuinely change a match one way or the other. So you have a lot of control, and you need to use that control properly and wisely. So that was like a really big step, was like realizing like you are in control. So it's okay. Tell the dad to sit down, tell the coach, the old, coach that's not very nice, to calm down and approach him with a question, like gaining a little bit of confidence. And I think that that has helped my confidence a lot. Because believe it or not, I know people definitely thought I was a raging B word in high school. 100%, especially when wrestling. Like, there was wrestling Hannah, and then there was not wrestling Hannah. And it literally was the difference between, I would be, like, as soon as I put my headphones on, I was warming up. That was a certain Hannah, and then I would wrestle. That was a certain Hannah, and then I'd come off, and I'd be happy. And I'd be like, yay, like, having fun. And it was like, within seconds, I could kind of turn that off. But on the mat, it was kill or be killed. 100%. Which is so crazy, because if you know me personally, you're like, kill or be killed? Like, with a plastic fork? Like, what do you mean? Like, why are you, like, you're not aggressive? But, yeah. Like, if you watch my matches, you would think, that's the same person? Like, she's kind of crazy, So, yeah, I think there was, like, that's kind of where all my confidence was shifted when I was in high school, and now I can kind of channel that into the officiating in a way, because these past 2 years out of high school, I've been officiating high school stuff. And it's been a game changer for me. Like, I've learned so much. I've gained so much confidence. I've been able to not only support myself through the money that you are paid to officiate, but also give back to a sport that gave me so much. Because wrestling truly did change my life.
If you officiate a whole day's worth of tournaments, you can make some decent money. Like, it's worth your while to be there.
Oh, yeah, no. I always tell people $30 an hour. Base rate.
Yeah.
30 an hour is base rate. Now, school district, distance traveled, level of competition, that all plays into that. But 30 an hour. Think about it that way. I make more money officiating on average than I do at my regular CNA job at a nursing home. So, like, right now in this, like, time in my life, officiating takes precedence over my real job, because it is, like, this week I only officiate Thursday and Saturday, but last week I officiated Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
This has been really informative for me because, well, like, as I told you at lunch,
yeah,
I have a 12-year-old daughter who's getting into wrestling.
Which, that makes me so happy.
she's really enjoyed herself this year.
Yeah.
She's got a little bit of the season left. But I take her to practice, and the room is full of girls. Mm-hmm. There's girls everywhere. There's there's high school girls wrestling team that's stacked. You got all these young girls. I saw some figure that youth girls wrestling is up 400% nationwide, which is just nuts.
Which I love it.
And so it's just wild to hear that just not that long ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it was just a handful of girls, and these schools trying to figure out what that looks like and how it operates.
What I always say, it's it's funny because at this year's girls state tournament, all the past IWCOA state champs, or as many as they could get collected, are going to lead the Grand March. So like all the state champions from the unsanctioned tournaments. So me, as in the last 120-pound state champ, you know, being unsanctioned, and everybody else, you know, that's one in the past that they could get collected, are going to lead the Grand March. And my mom made a comment that it was like all the little baddies in their hair caps are going to be out there. The women that like pioneered this, the hair cap wearing, like double braid, because we used to have to wear hair caps, like literally.
Like what do you mean a hair cap? Like a swimming cap?
So you could have worn that. They actually made them for wrestling, but when I was in junior high, so I had just started wrestling, and I loved wrestling enough that I was going out in my little singlet, okay? I had to wear a black, like, think of it as like a swimming cap, but it came down and around my chin and my headgear had to go over it. There could be no hair showing. There was a time when like we tried to like just leave my braids at the bottom out because I was like, you know, that's not really gonna hurt. I don't wanna, you know, like look bald. And they're like, oh, your hair has to be tucked up in the braids. So Kevin Brisker's on the side of the mat tucking my braids in my hair cap and is like, never in a million years did I think I'd ever be doing this. Like, girls wrestling, okay. But because you're doing it, we're doing it. Like, okay. Like, I'm in 8th grade.
That's wild.
And I'm on an all-boys team.
That fad came and went really quick, didn't it?
They got, as soon as girls picked up, they got rid of the hair caps. Thank God, because that would have been so humbling. Like, because then when they got rid of that, we could do cute hair.
Yeah,
and like
you do the French braids and all that stuff.
I could do what I like to do with my hair, which was like 2 braids to a bun or 2 braids to a ponytail, and then I do like a bubble braid. Like, there was ways to keep your hair out of your face, but at that time, they were like, hair cap. That's the solution. So like Ella Schmidt has pictures of her in a hair cap too, like from youth wrestling. And like some girls prefer to wear a hair cap. And that's fine. I hated it. I hated that I looked bald. Like, I'm like, I have hair. I'm a girl. Like, I want people to see. Like, I don't want to look bald. But yeah, so.
And after all that, Hannah wakes up every day happy?
Yeah, I do.
You're a happy soul.
I am, yeah.
Good. That's good.
Yes.
So, you know what? I think the moral of the story is maybe a tough day, but not a tough life, you know?
And another thing I always like to say is if a flower doesn't grow where it's planted, don't change the flower, change its environment. You don't change the flower, you just move the flower.
Thank you.
Put it in a different garden, you know?
Hannah, this is great. I can't wait to get this out.
Yeah.
I can't wait to put this out there because your story, this story we just heard, people have 100 different versions of that in their head and they think what may or may not be, but we heard it directly from you.
So many bar fights, let me tell you, over.
Really?
Oh man, I've heard some crazy stories. Not all in front of me that things have been said and happened, but
yeah. Well, you know what? As I like to say, talk good about me, talk bad about me, but please just talk about me, right? Hannah Rogers, thank you so much. You've been so gracious with your time. We've spent all day together today, which has just been great. So
it's all good.
Can't wait to put this together, and I can't wait to see what else you do in the wrestling world, because I have a feeling we're going to see more Hannah in some sort of wrestling capacity.
I'm sure. I will, yes.
Thanks, Hannah.
You're welcome.